In this video, I want to go over some of the best decks you can use as a starter to get out of Bronze 3. I'm by no means an expert, but I've been in your shoes. I've been in Bronze 3 and having no idea how to get out of there, like gaining a couple of rating points and dropping down once again. But by means of experimentation and by studying a lot, I came up with some decks that I believe are quite good that only require a very minimal amount of investment on your part. Some of them are actually totally free and you can build with your starter cards. Now, the first deck that I played was a fire deck. So let's take a look at fire and the different summoners. So you basically have two summoners in fire, which both are quite good. You have Pyre, which increases the speed of all of your monsters by 1. This is extremely helpful because not only does speed allow your monsters to attack before the other enemy player, so allowing you to kill their monsters before they can even do anything. On top of that, speed also allows you to dodge their attacks more efficiently. For each difference in speed, you get a 20% dodge chance. So if somebody with a speed of 1 attacks a monster with a speed of 3, it has 20% dodge chance. So it's very useful both offensively and defensively. So that's Pyre, but you also have Malric Inferno, which is also a very useful ability. It gives all of your melee units +1 attack. Very, very useful. So depending on which champion you choose, you might want to opt for a different deck. So first, let's take a look at Pyre. So if you go for Pyre, the card that you want to use with him would be the following. So in most cases, you want to have some kind of tank in front. And the best tank that you get in your starter cards is the Living Lava. It's a 7 mana card with 6 health and 2 armor. So quite a beefy unit, but on top of that it also does 3 attack, which is quite a lot for starter cards, so it can really shred through some enemies. On top of that, it also has a very useful ability of having reduced damage from melee and ranged attacks. And these low leagues, most of the attacks are melee attacks, some of them are ranged, but almost none of them are magic, so having a shield is really, really useful. So once you have this Living Lava dude, you want to put a reach guy behind it. And within your starter card, you have 2 options, and it depends a bit on how much mana for which one you go. Oftentimes, I prefer the Giant Rock, but it's up to you. You can also go for the Magma Troll. Now, the most important part is that these cards have reach, allowing them to attack from the second position. So they can attack from behind the Living Lava, even though they are melee. Now, these cards only deal 1 damage. That's not a whole lot, but having this ability to attack from second position is very useful. Now, a card that is a definitely must include when you run Pyre is this Serpentine Spy. This guy has opportunity. So monsters with the opportunity ability may attack from any position and will target the enemy monster with the lowest health. So these are like true assassins. They can attack from anywhere, so preferably you put them somewhere in the middle of your deck, and then they can attack, boom, and take out the lowest health enemy. Very, very useful. So those are some of the cards that I actually prefer running. Now, Spark Pixies is also a really useful one, especially because it has flying, which will allow it to even dodge more. It adds 25% dodge chance to other units which does not have flying, and as it has a speed of 5, yeah, it's almost untargetable. Now, on the other hand, it of course only has 1 health, so it can be taken out quite quickly. But it deals 2 damage and it's very quick, so can be very, very useful. So those are some of the cards that I recommend when you run Pyre. Now, on the other hand, if you will be running the Summoner, which buffs all of your units with 1 melee damage, then of course you want to put in as much melee guys as possible. So I would once again go for the Living Lava, the Giant Rock, but then some other options open up, namely being a Cobalt Miner. It's a sneak monster. So sneak monsters target the last monster on the enemy team instead of the first monster, and they don't have to be in front in order to be able to attack. So sneak monsters are very useful because they have melee and they will be buffed by your summoner. So then you definitely want to go for Cobalt Miner, and there's another sneak monster, if I believe to be correct. It's a neutral. Let's take a look at the neutral guys. So you also always want to take a look over there. So you have the Elephant Cutthroat. Once again, you buff her, have 1 extra damage. Very, very useful. You also have the Parasitic Growth, although I don't think it's worth it. It's quite an expensive card, but it's an option. So those are some of the things that you can include in your fire deck when you're just getting started, and it will definitely you'll be able to get to 100, 200 rating points with that, no problem. I did it myself, but then I was struggling a bit and I was looking for new opportunities, and so I switched to water, and water has quite some cool possibilities. So you basically have two possibilities when running water. And when we look at the summoner, so we have Ulrich Stormbringer, which increases the magic damage of all of your units by 1. So if you go for Ulrich, you want to just like pump your deck full of magic dudes. On the other hand, if you're not planning to do that, or you see that your opponent is running a lot of magic, you might want to test out Bortus, which reduces the magic damage of your opponent by 1. Both of them can be very good in specific situations. Now, let's take a look here. So if we go to monsters, so let's first design a deck which does not rely on magic. So that means in that case, you'll probably use Bortus, I believe his name was. Yeah, Bortus. And that's just an all-round very decent deck. So you want to have somebody in front. There are basically two possibilities in a free deck. That's Serpent of the Eld, which costs 7, has 5 health, 2 armor, very beefy. On top of that, it dodges quite a bit with its dodge attack, and it deals 3 damage. On top of that, it has a high speed. So a really good one, which is hard to hit. Now, if you want to go 1 mana cheaper, so if you don't have the necessary mana, Frozen Soldier is also a really good option. 5 armor and 3 health, so that means that he's quite vulnerable against magic attacks. So certainly don't include him if you're fighting against a magic deck. Then you certainly want to go for Serpent of the Eld. But otherwise, a good one. Has shield, so reduce damage from melee and ranged, and also 2 damage. So quite a good one against melee and ranged unit, but very, very weak against magic. So be careful. Now, if you want to spend like the minimum, you can also rent the card Sea Monster. I did. It costs 0.1 DEC to rent, so that's like 100 of a cent or something. So super cheap. 8 mana, 8 health, and 4 damage. But the very cool part is that it is a self-healing monster. So you put this guy in front, and he will heal himself each round. Now you want to be careful though, because like if it's a battle where there's a high mana cap, sometimes it's possible that the opponent destroys your sea monster before it can heal, and that's kind of a bummer. But in most cases, the sea monster can survive and then heal up, and in some battles I even seen him being literally unkillable because he just keeps on getting healed and healed and healed. So very useful. Now the main disadvantage is of course that it has a 1 speed, meaning that it has to take a lot of attacks and only then it can heal. This card would be a lot better with like a speed of 2 or 3, I believe. But yeah, it is what it is. So you put one of these 3 guys in front, and it depends a bit on the situation which one you should pick. The second most important card, I would say, is this Water Elemental over here. So this is the guy that you put in the back to protect against sneak attacks. Sneak attacks are those guys that come in the back and attack the monster in the back. Oftentimes, most people place like really weak monsters over there, and then Sneak is very useful because you can just take them out one by one. That's why you want to protect against that a little bit, and you can do so by putting a Water Elemental over there. For health, so it means it has a little bit of durability and often will survive, especially because it's placed in the back. On top of that, it has a self-heal, so it will probably heal himself up, and they won't be able to get through your backline. And on top of that, it has 2 range attack, which is really good. So all in all, a very decent unit that you want to include. So then you get some possibilities. One guy that I really like is this Crustacean King. As you can see, 3 mana, 1 armor, 2 health, but it has opportunity to use tank heal, meaning that it heals the unit in front, in this case the sea monster. So if the sea monster can stay alive up until it's his turn, he can be healed up quite a bit with his tank heal and the heal the sea monster itself has. So that makes this sea monster really useful if it can survive at least 1 turn. And in most cases it does. Now, the Crustacean King in and of itself does not really do that much, but having this heal is very useful if your sea monster can survive. Now, once again, it would be a bit better if it had like opportunity 2 or 3, but unfortunately it is only also opportunity 1. So those are like the most important cards that you can include if you're going for a non-magic deck. Another good card is this Pirate Captain over here. It's a ranged unit that you can put towards the back. It has a snipe ability, meaning that it targets enemy monsters with ranged magic or no attack that are not in first position. So it will try to take out the ranged and magic units, which often have a lot less health. So that's quite useful. Or you could also go for the Saber Shark, which has a sneak ability. So these are the units that I then use up to fill up my deck. So all in all, a very potent deck that I highly recommend. Now let's say that you go for the other blue summoner. It's this one over here, Ulrich Stormbringer. Wow, this is crazy good. So what you do if you go for Ulrich Stormbringer, I'll show him once again. It increases the magic damage of all your human units by 1. So you want to have as many magic units as you can have. So what do you do with him? Once again, you have to always make sure to have at least a tank. Like I tried building decks which only had magic units, but it didn't work out. You really have to make sure to have at least 1 tank. Now, if it's a low mana fight, the cheapest tank that you have is this Pineback Turtle, which is actually really good. So it has 6 health, 2 armor, 1 attack for only 4 mana. That's quite a good deal. So I put this guy in front, and in low mana battles, he will survive quite a long time. Now, then you put all of your magic units behind that. So you have only 4 magic units when you start out. You have Medusa, 4 mana, 1 magic attack, 3 health, not too shabby. You also have Ice Pixie, once again 1 magic attack with only 1 health, so quite a weak unit. And then you have 2 neutral units that you want to put in. The first one is this Enchanted Pixie over here, also 1 damage and 1 health. Now what you can see is that this Enchanted Pixie is by definition worse than the Ice Pixie, because they have exactly the same stats, but the Enchanted Pixie costs 3 mana, while the Ice Pixie costs 2. So that's something to keep in mind. And then you also have this one over here, the Elven Mystic, 4 mana, 1 magic attack, and 3 health. Now, all of these magic cards will be buffed, very powerful, and so on top of that, these magic cards can attack from any position, and they ignore armor. So they are very, very strong against armor dudes. Now, you must be a little bit hesitant with using this strategy, because if your opponent knows that you will be using his strategy, it's quite easily countered. One of the best ways to counter this strategy, if you see it an opponent using, is using this Unicorn Mustang, which has the Void, reduced damage from magic attacks, so this will definitely decrease the effectiveness of the strategy you're trying to employ. Def also has a similar card as this guy over here. The Bone Golem, their main tank, also has reduced damage from magic attacks. So there are definitely some possibilities of countering this strategy if you see your opponent using it. So you have to be aware of that. If you still have some mana left, good options are once again the Pirate King, the Saber Shark, like I mentioned, perhaps even the Crustacean King. But definitely, although he costs quite some mana, Water Elemental once again to put in the bag. Now, one card that I haven't mentioned, which is basically one of the best cards that you can get in the game, that's this Furious Chicken. It's the only 0 mana card in the game. That means that you can always put it in when you still have a slot open. Now, it doesn't do anything, it just has 1 health, but oftentimes it can get 1 attack, it can take 1 attack, and then, yeah, it basically saves your other units from getting attacked. So it can be very, very useful, especially against like opportunity guys, which targets units with the least amount of health. Well, this Furious Chicken is definitely a juicy target for them. Now, I rented this one for 7 DEC per day. It's quite expensive if you actually want to buy him, but renting is quite cheap. So you go to the market, then to card rentals, and then I have to look a bit for him. So it's a neutral card. It's a monster. Let's see if we can find him. It's over here. This Furious Chicken. Let's look at the cheapest pricing. So about 14 DEC a day. But if you look for some deals, you can get him for 7 DEC a day. And it's definitely worth it because you can basically put it in every deck. Sometimes you can even upgrade it, and then it gets also one attack, making it a very useful unit, but I haven't been able to do so. So this chicken I always put in if I have some place for it. Now, the last deck that I want to show you is one that I recently discovered, and it's the Earth deck. Now, the Earth deck needs one very specific card in order to work great, and it's a summoner. So, if you go to summoners, the one that you'll need is this Mylar Crowling. It's a 3 mana summoner which has as its ability, all friendly monsters receive the Thorns ability at the start of the battle. And Thorns is really useful because whenever units are attacked with melee attacks, they return 2 damage to the opponent. So basically, if the opponent has a lot of melee damage, the opponent kills himself. Because what you do is that you put in a lot of tanky monsters. So in front, I usually put like this Unicorn Mustang, of course, has 10 health, that's insane. That's a very good option. You also have Stone Golem if you want a little bit less, spend a little bit less mana. Also very, very good, although it has less attack. You have also like this Earth Elemental. That's a ridiculously high value card with 6 health for only 3 mana. So put this guy in the back to protect your backline, and whenever they attack, they get damaged a lot. So that's some good cards to put in there. You can really go ham. So in order to end this video, I'll play a match with Marlar and see how things go. So let's see. So we're playing against this guy. He's playing a bit of everything, so it's hard to really see what he will be playing. He might be playing water. I'm not sure. In all cases, we'll create our team and we'll test out Mylar Crowling. So like I mentioned, I wanted to have this Unicorn Mustang in front because this guy will also protect against magic attacks, and it's also protected against melee attacks because of Mylar. So really good deal. Okay, next up, of course, we get the Furious Chicken, and in the backline you want to have the Earth Elemental. So we have 14 mana left for 3 places, so let's take a look what else we can put in there. We might want to get like a reach guy, so we'll take a look what options we have. I think we'll probably go for Orc Sergeant because it has a lot of health, so that's really useful. We'll put it in second position. So we have 9 mana left, that's quite a lot, so let's take a look at some of our higher value cards here. If there's anything useful in there. I could go for the Sandworm, but I won't do so. I will go for the Mantoid. That's another ranged guy which has quite a lot of health, so that's very good. And now we only have 3 mana left for our last guy. We could go for this guy, the Goblin Sorcerer. That ain't too bad. Or Child of the Forest. Interesting choice. I think we'll go for Goblin Sorcerer because we don't have any magic attacks right now, and that could be very useful. Although Child of the Forest is also like a really good card. It has such a high speed, and then also targets other monsters. I'm doubting here. I'll go for Child of the Forest. I think it's quite a good card. I'll put it right over there, and let's get to battle. So we're playing against live, so we'll see how we do. Okay, so what cards does he have? So, a taunt guy, that means that everybody has to attack this one. That's a little bit annoying. And so every unit got an extra armor because of this ability. So quite a lot of armor. And on top of that, he does not have that many melee attacks. So he has 2 strong ranged attacks as well. And of course, this healer will constantly heal this shield bearer. So it might have been better to get some magic attacks, but we'll see how we do. Let's rumble and see how we go. If we get through his front line, we're definitely doing quite well. I'm also curious what our Child of the Forest will do. That will also determine quite a lot. Now, as you can see, we've already removed the armor from the Feral Spirit. So we've gotten rid of the armor of that guy. So far, so good. Now, as you can see, Thorn's really doing its work. Okay, gets healed up with 3. That's a lot. But we're getting there, so it's looking quite decent. So Thorn's ability should remove this Feral Spirit. quite good, quite good. So yeah, it's looking quite good. I'll speed up a bit, see how things go. So if we are able to take out the shield bearer, which we just did, it should be looking great. Now we'll also take out, oh damn, we lost that one, but we're still looking quite good, I believe. So now this range dude can't do anything anymore because he's in front. So yeah, this should be in the bag. I'll speed it up a little bit more, but yeah, we definitely win this one. There we go. That's another win in the bag with Mylor. Really, really strong card. I highly recommend it. So that's how you win. As you can see in my battle log, I've played already 2 games with Mylor, but before I mostly used like water, as you can see, with the Serpent of the Eld. Quite a good combo. I highly recommend it. You can win many games of it. That's the one that I recommended earlier. As you can see, I've done many games with him and been quite successful. That was like a win streak, one after the other, as you can see. So mostly the water guy with Ulrich Stormbringer and then having a bunch of magic minions behind one tanky unit has been really successful with me. Especially adding the Furious Chicken. That's a very good upgrade to consider if you haven't got him already. This time he was also quite useful, especially in combination with Milo Crowling, because if he's attacked by like some kind of opportunity guy or a sneak guy, yeah, that guy gets also 2 damage, so that's a very powerful combo. In all cases, if you're interested in playing Splinterlands, play this game yourself, earn some in-game cryptocurrency, sell your cards, rent out your cards, get some passive income that way. So it's a combination between a game and being able to make some money with the game. Quite a unique combo. You can get started for free by using the link down below in the description. This was Splinterlands, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Splinterlands videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye!